You're watching 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Tennessee's #1 high school football show. Live on location from the biggest game of the week. Live interviews from coaches and players, along with highlights, predictions, and up-to-date information about this week's biggest games. Your hosts, Jesse Smithy and Kevin Smith, with decades of experience covering and coaching high school sports, along with a 5-star preps team, will break down region outlooks and what's to come for your favorite prep football teams and top players. Now, get ready for the most comprehensive high school football coverage in Tennessee on 5 Star Live.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Welcome in, everybody, to 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Jesse Smithy along with Kevin Smith is Playoff War Room Show. This is our favorite show of the year, I think, mainly because it's cold outside at night. We're inside for the entire night, but Kevin, tonight we update brackets all throughout the night, and this is when it really starts to get fun.
Yeah, I mean it's a blessing for a lot of teams that they already know that they're seeded or they're in the playoffs. It's a little struggle for some that they know that maybe this is the last time, especially for seniors who get to play football. And not everybody goes to the next level. We know how small that number is. And so it's kind of one of those nights. It can be a very exciting night. It can be also a somber night for a lot of people. So we're excited. I know the playoffs are in the air. The chill is in the air. And I can't wait to do this.
Yeah, when we get done with the pregame show tonight, we'll cut on the TVs. We'll kick around, watch a lot of the live streams, update our brackets throughout the night. So we have 3 shows tonight. We have the pregame show, which you're watching right now. We'll come back at halftime, update some scores, kind of look at the brackets, take a peek at the brackets, and say, okay, we might get this matchup versus this matchup if everything kind of holds true in the second half. And then after the games go final tonight, we'll come back. We'll unveil all of the local matchups for the first round of the playoffs. And shout out to TSSAA. I got all these playoff possibilities in my hands. And Kevin, you talked about some people going home with somber moods. There are some scenarios where a team can finish as high as a 3 seed or just completely miss the playoff. So it's all come down to just go win. Keep it that simple, right?
Yeah, and we got some 1 seed possibilities. It could also be a 3 seed, depending on how some people went out. And tonight is a huge night for some region kind of championship night. So it's really Championship Friday as well when you look at a lot of matchups across the state, and especially here in East Tennessee. So it's going to be a crazy fun night. We're going to get ready to go, and I'm excited for all the players to have some action tonight.
Yeah, we're going to take a look around all the classifications tonight on our pregame show and outline a few of the big games that have multiple possibilities. Kevin, there's one, I think, with Kingston and Loudon, Sweetwater, McMinn Central. There are 8 playoff scenarios that could happen. And so throughout the night, you just kind of check the boxes and see who ends up making it. But it all started last night. You talk about Bearden and Farragut. This is a game that had been circled on the calendar for so long. And you look back to week 2, and both teams have kind of struggled out of the gates, and you're going, okay, well, maybe in week 11 they're playing for the 4 seed or a 3 seed. The winner of that game last night could actually win a region championship now, and it all depends on what Maryville does tonight. But Farragut went in there last night and took care of business.
Yeah, and I think for Farragut, you kind of thought they stumbled out of the gates, but it was against a Beach team who has 1 loss on the year to Farragut, so they played a very tough game. A Maryville team who we know is always in the hunt. So we kind of saw this Farragut team really kind of get going and really start to score points and put points on the board. But it's been the defense, Jesse, that's really stepped up this year. It was kind of the Achilles heel last year until late in the playoffs. This is a defense that's really playing good ball, and you saw it last night, holding Bearden to 206 total yards. And anytime you can hold a team who kind of runs the football the way Bearden does to under 100 yards rushing, you have a really good chance to win.
That was the bugaboo for Farragut. I mean, early in the season, we watched West gash them, Beach gash them up the middle, and it was just, okay, how are they going to put a Band-Aid on this? And are they still like one of the area's best run-stop defenses? No, but they've tended to their defense and made some adjustments there, and now they're sitting there at 8-2. I think they won their last 8 games. And they're guaranteed at least a 2 seed in the playoffs and a home playoff game for Farragut, which last year they made it all the way to the quarterfinals playing all road games. So I'm sure they're going to enjoy being at home for once. But yeah, if Maryville loses tonight against Bradley Central, you're looking at Farragut being the 1 seed, Bradley Central being the 2 seed, and Maryville going on the road in the first round of the playoffs. We have not seen that in decades.
Well, hey, Farragut's, there are no greater fans of Bradley Central than they are tonight. And speaking of this Farragut defense, something else that really stood out last night for me was they gave their offense the ball in plus yardage situations. The Farragut offense had scoring drives of 36 yards, 25 yards, and 2 yards. When your defense is giving you a short field like that, it's an offense's best friend. That defense not only held Bearden in check, but they got punts, and they gave their offense short fields, and you saw Farragut was able to convert those into touchdowns.
I wanted to give a tip of the cap to Bearden as well. They got down 28-7 there midway through the third quarter and started to make some things happen, get back in that football game, cut it to 28-21 there in the fourth quarter, and had some chances there in the last few minutes to maybe make a drive and put together a drive to try and tie the game or possibly get into a situation to win the game at the end of regulation, and that did not happen. But that Bearden team has come a long way in year one under Josh Jones.
Absolutely, and you saw it last night. They fought till the very end. They kept themselves in the ball game. Both coaching staffs, they're going to have the ear of their players getting ready for the playoffs. You had a Bearden team who had 13 penalties. A lot of those were pre-snap. Those are just mistakes that you cannot have. You never could get in a rhythm offensively when you're always behind the chains. And then from Farragut, 4 turnovers offensively last night. You're not going to go deep in the playoffs as you continue to move down the road if you're having 4 turnovers. Again, another sign of that defense is really coming along for Farragut.
Yeah, this is, again, a Farragut team that we have liked all year long. It just kind of, again, took them a few weeks there early in the season to get going. But Luke Johnson, their quarterback in year one, I feel like has performed extremely well in his first year as a starter. Ashton Walker, though, the slot receiver, number 10, had a touchdown last night, 80-something yards. He's been a huge addition to that program. We've talked about him multiple times throughout the season, but when you have a guy like that that can house one at any time, what does that do to change the makeup of an offense?
Well, defensively, you got to account for him. So sometimes it brings extra players over in the secondary, maybe some linebackers that have to bump out a little bit further into space, because he is a guy that you have to tackle in space, which is very hard to do in the game of football. So it makes adjustments for the defense that then opens up other lanes for Farragut. And they've got a couple of really good running backs. So it opens up the game for them as well. And if you don't cover him, if you don't adjust and roll your defense, he can take one to the house at any time and make plays for you.
For Bearden, again, a team loaded with underclassmen, all this experience, even the losses against Farragut, it's going to pay off for them down the road. I mean, they have a sophomore quarterback. They have 2 skilled players on that start on offensive receiver and some at slot and running back who are freshmen. And so all this experience that they're getting, they're going to be used to it next year and the years to come.
I mean, really, when you're in a young program and for Coach Jones as a first-year head coach, it's like in college when you really want to get to a bowl game. You want to get those extra practices in, have that extra time with your team. It's the same idea in high school football. If you can't get in the 1 or 2 seed and get those home playoff games, you want to get yourself in the playoffs, get those extra practices in, get those guys even more and more development, and then let them get on the big stage. Let them get ready for this run next year.
Absolutely. That's Kevin Smith. Kevin, we're at Gold Star Nutrition tonight. We're going to have a lot of guests. We're going to be joined by Eddie Spradlin, the Greenville football coach, in just a moment after the break and talk about all that is high school football and playoffs coming up. But I'm going to have you pass the mic. We got our first special guest tonight, Bill Pendergrass from East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Bill, thanks so much for joining us on the program. I know you got off the links today, off the golf course to come and join us, but East Tennessee Spine and Sport's been awesome to partner with this year. We're learning more about what you guys do. People out in the community are starting to, kind of have their eyes opened up. How long have you been with East Tennessee Spine and Sport, and kind of what's your role there?
Well, thank you, Jesse. I am the director of Johnson City Clinic, so right here in our backyard.
Okay.
I've been with the company now for 5 years, been practicing in the East Tennessee area for 15 years. But one thing that drove me to Fountain City was our focus on the local community. We're tied in with the local community, whether it be athletes, whether it be just mom and dad, anybody else that uses general physical therapy care.
Yeah, that's what we try to tell everybody watching the show and 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. It's not just for high school athletes or middle school athletes or college. You can go in there and, you can see some 18-year-olds and 16-year-olds, but you also see somebody that might be 60 or 70 who is recovering from some kind of post-surgery.
Absolutely. We, on our social media, we like to call them ETSS athletes. And sometimes, yes, we're focusing on our high school athletes, but we focus on our weekend warriors. We focus on mom, dad. It doesn't matter what the sport, what level of activity you have. we call them all our athletes, and we like to share, and we're proud of all those different levels that we treat in our clinics.
I was in there at one point in my mid to late 30s at that time, so I kind of felt like, oh man, maybe I don't belong with that kid over there, but there's somebody older than I am. But I felt immediately comfortable first visit, and that says a lot about you guys.
Absolutely. We'd call you an athlete just as well, just like the rest of them. But one of the important things that we talk about with all of clinicians is just the ability to listen and the ability to care. And a lot of times when you're injured, it's not fun. You don't want to be there, or maybe you don't understand the situation, and you just want somebody to sit down, to listen to you, and be explained to you kind of what's going on and what is the pathway to recovery to get you back to whatever you want to do, whether get back to the links, get back to the football field, or whatever it might be that you desire.
One of the things I wanted to talk with you about is, and Kevin and I mentioned that some people's seasons tonight are going to come to an end. A lot of kids been playing hurt, playing through injuries, managing injuries with the help of you guys, I'm sure. What is the key for the next few weeks for these kids whose seasons are going to end and getting them back to 100%?
What I like to tell the athletes is just take a break. You've been grinding through preseason, week 11 of the season. Just walk away for a moment. Walk away for a week. Get your mental health, get your physical health, and then start to self-assess. And maybe you had a minor sprain of an ankle or a shoulder. Maybe some of these wonderful trainers have been able to tape you up, put some extra padding in there. You've been able to compete and finish out your season. But now it's the off season. Now it's time to focus on that. It's time to take care of these little injuries so that you can get into your off season program. I know a lot of them are probably rolling into basketball season, baseball season. Go ahead now and take care of these injuries. And that's the important part where a physical therapist can really play a role, is to go in and say, yes, maybe the acute injury has come and gone, but what are the lingering effects? What might inhibit your off-season program? What might limit your ability to come back in time for spring ball? And really to get that full evaluation in there to determine kind of what's going on behind the scenes that might still be lingering after such a long season.
Yeah, early in my journalism career, and I told Kevin this all the time, he coached at Catholic the year that they won the state championship in 2008, and at the time I worked at the News Sentinel. Season's over, we have our picture day for all of our best players, and half a Catholic's team came in on crutches or in something on their wrist, and it was really eye-opening to see like how many kids were playing through broken bones or injuries. Is there an uptick for you guys with high school athletes typically around November? We do
see throughout the fall season, and I think you've talked to a few of my peers before, that difference between injury or playing through pain and getting hurt. And often these high school athletes are so tough, they're playing through these hurts, playing through these pains, but now that the season's over with, again, it's time to focus on them. It's time to focus on themselves, take care of themselves now in the off season.
One of the things I love that you guys do on social media is share the stories of recovery, and I love what you guys have been doing on social media all week. Looks like y'all having a lot of fun. I saw a denim day. Was it yesterday? Was everybody kind of wearing denim? It just seems like you guys have a great place, and there's six locations around East Tennessee?
We do. We have 6 locations, so there's one that can be convenient in each part of the county. Loudoun County as well, Anderson County as well. So no matter where you live in this area, you're going to have one of our clinics close to you. And the cool part about our company, too, is most people live, work, and play in this community. So we're involved with the local schools. We're involved in the local community. We all live in the community. A lot of us have kids that play for these teams as well. So it is a fun environment to get in, to support the local kids. We just shared today in one of our meetings about how we rehabbed one of the local high school athletes, and then our clinicians went to the game and they watched them. What a joy to see them back on the field doing what they enjoy to do.
Well, Bill, thank you guys so much for your support all season long. We still got roughly 5 more weeks after this that you guys will be a part of, but East Tennessee Spine and Sport has been amazing to work with, and it's been good to kind of get to know you guys as well throughout the season.
It's great. We love what we do, and we love talking about what we do. We appreciate the opportunity you've given us, and a lot of my peers are jealous that you got to bring me indoors today.
Yeah, absolutely.
That brought me out of the elements today.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been a pleasure to work alongside you guys. That's Bill Pendergrass from East Tennessee Spine and Sport. We're going to get to our first break. We got a big announcement coming tonight later in the show, so you want to stick around for that. But when we come back, we're going to talk to Greenville football coach Eddie Spradlin right here on 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Stick with us.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up.
East Tennessee, the foothills of the Smokies, beautiful lakes, Friday night heroes, and one red light small towns with more life than any big city, where orange and white is displayed. Yeah, the one and only home of the Tennessee Vols, but also the home of the 134th Air Refueling Wing Volunteers. You might catch us in the beautiful skies of East Tennessee, flying the time-tested, irreplaceable, world-traveling, aerial refueling KC-135. Yeah, you heard that right. We refuel other aircraft while traveling the world at over 30,000 feet and 500 miles an hour. The amazing thing is, that's really not the 134th Air Refueling Wing's greatest strength. Our greatest strength is our airmen, our warriors, who have answered our nation's call. Guardians of freedom and justice, not only in our beautiful hills, but worldwide. They are our sentries and avengers, defending our country with their lives. They are the best of us, wingmen, leaders, and warriors, and you best believe they will never falter or fail. Flying, fighting, and winning, they are American Airmen and Tennessee Air National Guardsmen. So what are you waiting for? It's time to join the hometown team. Visit GoANG.com or call 1-800-TO-GO-ANG.
Welcome back into 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Jesse Smithy here on segment number 2 of the show tonight. And if you were kind of with us before the break, I told you we got a big announcement coming from 5 Star Preps later on in the show. You want to be around here for that. We're bringing something to Knoxville that has not been done before. So stick around with us tonight on 5 Star Live. You'll learn a little bit more about that later on. Right now, though, we go to the phone lines and welcome in Greenville football coach Eddie Spradlin. They are off in week 11. They completed their regular season in week 10. So, Eddie, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
Coach, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
I'm not picking up Eddie at this point. I cannot hear Eddie Spradlin, no. Eddie, are you there?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, now I got Eddie Spradlin. Hey, Coach, thanks so much for joining us here on 5 Star Live. What's the go-to for you tonight? Are you going to catch a game? Are you scouting? Or are you just kind of taking a breather tonight?
No, we'll go catch a game, see what we might have a playoff possibility with. There ain't no off time as a high school football coach if you want to continue to be successful for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I know last year the postseason didn't go as you wanted. How much of that kind of fuels this time of year for you to make sure you uncover every stone, turn over every stone, do everything you can to give your team a chance to make good in the postseason?
Yeah, obviously, we lost a hard-fought 13-7 game. But I've told a lot of people in different conversations that, my kids gave me all they could give last year. The ball didn't bounce our way on a couple of things last year in that game. But as a high school coach, if you can get them to play hard and they give you all you got, that's all you can ask for.
You guys secured the 1 seed out of your region this year, and I know that means a lot to you. It gives you the home field advantage there in the first few rounds, and I'm sure that's an early kind of checklist mark, right, for you guys to go ahead and achieve.
Yeah, for sure. Our goal for this football team this year was to be Region 1 4A champs, and we got the opportunity to do that. put us in home field advantage during the playoffs for round 22, hopefully. So, that was a big goal for us, and, we've reached that, and we're excited to see where we can go with it.
They lost some big pieces off of that team from 2021, and I wonder how you guys felt about your offense coming into this year and how you've seen it evolve through 10, 11 weeks.
Yeah, we have a lot of big time talent from last year, but when you return to three guys that really played a lot of football on the offensive line, and then really it comes down to you return Brady Quillen at quarterback, a guy that you can depend on, who is going to do everything you ask him to. And, we got him coming back. He leads our football team. And then you got guys like Jonte Dabbs and Mason Laws out on the edge. And then we've had a lot of, guys step up to help us with, that we knew that we're good players that just didn't have as much experience as some of those guys last year, so they had backup roles. So, those guys really stepped up, like Damian Short, Emmanuel Dixon stepped up on offense. A big one is in Brady's little brother Carson steps in there and had a heck of a season. You got to watch him in person down there at Oak Ridge. He's got a lot of dog in him. You can put the football in his hands, and special things are going to happen.
Oftentimes, when you coach brothers, you see the difference in their personalities and how they go about their work. Can you kind of paint the picture of how Brady is at quarterback and Carson is wherever you guys put him?
Yeah, for sure, two different personalities. Carson's a little more outgoing kid than Brady is, but he's the same high character guy, and both of those guys really got a lot of dog in them. And you're going to get their best day in and day out. I don't care if it's in the weight room or if it's out on the practice field, and for sure you're going to get it on Friday night when the lights turn on. So it's two really good. Come from a good family who's got a lot of tradition in Greenville football, so it's exciting to have those two guys playing for us for sure.
People in the Knoxville market may not be as familiar with Jonte Dabbs as some of your skill players in the past, and he's a young man. We saw his recruitment really blossom in the spring, and he garnered seemed like every day he was getting a new offer from someone, a wide receiver and a defensive back. What are we thinking he's going to be in college at this point?
A lot of people's recruiting him as a receiver, but I think he's a kid that could play big time defensive back if he wanted to. He's just got to get that opportunity. He's a kid that played 3 football games as a 16-year-old senior there this year, so a lot of people don't know that. He's a young kid who's, I believe, still growing. Right now he's about a 6'1". And with him on my football team, I feel like I've got one of the better players in East Tennessee every Friday night for sure.
One of the guys who has kind of taken East Tennessee by storm defensively, Emmanuel Dixon. I remember him coming into high school as a running back. I guess I knew him more as a running back, but he's absolutely just erupted as a defensive player this year. Tell us a little bit more about Emmanuel and kind of what kind of player he's turned into.
And I kind of said it a couple times, but somebody that's got some dang dog in them will absolutely get after somebody. That's what you get with Emmanuel Dixon. He's a fearless player that, gets excited. The bigger the game, the more you're going to get out of him. He's a vocal leader for our football team. In high school football, it's a lot of time you get really good guys that are leaders by example, but it's hard to get leaders who, will step up and, be a vocal guy for a football team, and that's what you get with him. He's a guy that really flies around and does a really good job on making sure we're lined up. He's a student of the game, which makes him even better.
Joined by Greenville head coach Eddie Spradlin. And Eddie, you talked about not having a night off tonight, even though your team is not playing. I look at who you guys might face in the first round of the 4A playoffs. They'll be the 4 seed coming out of Region 2. And these TSSAA scenarios, we got 3 different teams that you could possibly face. How are you and your staff gone about scouting these teams and making sure you're prepared come game week?
We use this week to really focus on fundamentals on offense and defense, and just get back to the simple things of blocking and tackling and making sure we're getting better. And we're not really focused on, during practice on one team, just things that we can do to make our football team better. But as a coaching staff, we, try to watch a little bit of film on each one of the opponents just to see where we might be when it comes out, because like you said, it could be one of 3 different teams so it makes it tough. You know, a lot of teams already know who they've got before the game even plays tonight. So it's been an interesting time, and, you know, it could go a couple different ways. It kind of feel the way that we think it might go, but you never know.
Well, Eddie, thanks so much for joining 5 Star Live tonight. You've always been open arms for us at 5 Star Preps anytime we've needed anything. So thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight, and best of luck to you guys next week in the playoffs.
I appreciate it, man. Hey, thank you for all that y'all do for high school football. And go Devils for sure.
All right. That's Eddie Spradlin, head football coach at Greenville High School, and we'll bring in Kevin Smith here back on the set as we start to take a look around the classifications tonight and outline some of these scenarios. Kevin is pretty cut and dry in Region 1 where Greenville is. Greenville won the region championship. They are the 1 seed. 2 seed is Elizabethton. They will host a first-round playoff game. Granger comes in at number 3 and Seymour number 4. But when it comes to who they play in the next round, it's as you can see, there's 3 different scenarios there. Anderson County has already got the 1 seed out of Region 2. They will host a playoff game. So it looks like if everything goes chalk, we'll see Anderson County and Greenville play in round 3.
Yeah, and that's a huge matchup. It's kind of been Anderson County's Achilles heel the last couple of years. It will be a fantastic football game if we get to that point. I know neither team wants us to overlook anybody else in 4A or on their path, but both teams are projected, if they do what they're supposed to do, they're only going to be able to beat themselves. I don't know that there's anybody in their path up to that point that can beat them unless they beat themselves.
You know, again, going back to our first segment where we talked about how some teams can finish really high or even miss the playoffs completely. Gibbs playing their senior night tonight at Carson Newman against South Doyle. This is a game that they should win. They can finish as high as a 2 seed if they win and Carter knocks off Fulton, or they can completely miss the playoffs. I mean, that's a lot to kind of compartmentalize and kind of think about as a teenager.
Well, and especially for this program this year who hasn't had, they don't have a home field this year. They've played on the road every game. This is one of those opportunities. They know what's in front of them. And I like this Gibbs football team. I think it's an opportunity for them at Carson Newman to get themselves in the playoffs. And it's a dangerous team. Somebody I don't necessarily would want to see in the first couple of rounds.
Yeah. Fulton and Carter play tonight. Carter has not beat Fulton since 2001. That's hard to fathom, that not even just one down year. Fulton had some down years there in the last 2 decades that Carter just was not able to get the win over them tonight. If Carter wins, they can be as high as a 2 seed, host a first-round playoff game, and for a program that started off terribly, 0-3, maybe 1-4, for them to be able to lock up a 2 seed, that would be huge for Carter.
Yeah, big game tonight, and I think both teams obviously need this. And Fulton's been up and down this year. It depends on how many penalties and turnovers they have, depending on if they're going to win or not. And this Carter team, got to give them some credit. They've had some struggles defensively. The offense didn't start off the way we thought it would with the athletes they have, but they found a way to get back. They found a way to win some really close games, even in some shootouts. And here they are. They got an opportunity to get a 2 seed.
And even defensively, they've been impressive at times. One on the road at Walker Valley to get, I think, their first win of the year. That was a 10-3 game. Won a tightly contested kind of defensive struggle with Morristown West, a 5A football team a couple of weeks ago. So Carter can kind of play either way at times, it seems. We'll see what team shows up tonight and see if they can knock off Fulton for the first time in 21 years. That's Kevin Smith. I'm Jesse Smithy. We're going to get to our next break. When we come back, we're going to start taking a look around 5A and 6A classifications, the big games tonight to look for. And again, we got a huge announcement coming up from 5 Star Preps a little later in the show. Make sure you're here for that. Right here on 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up.
Welcome back into 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. We're doing our playoff War Room show tonight at Gold Star Nutrition. Is this our fourth year?
Third year.
We've had a lot of fun here through the years. Get in and out of the elements. We watch games all night long, kind of like the Manning cast, except we're not live. I don't know if I want to share every comment that we have live on the show, but it's fun. We get to watch games all throughout the night. We update our brackets. We'll come back tonight with halftime show, updating some games around the area, looking at some key matchups that have huge implications for the playoffs. And then after everything's final, we'll come back live again for the post-game show. We'll unveil the brackets. We'll talk about some fun matchups that we're going to see in round one and get to all of that. But, Kevin, we continue to look around the area tonight. 5A, we move into 5A. West Central, it's 4 region championship. I think West is obviously the overwhelming favorite in this game. Central, though, has done well to get themselves in this position.
Yeah, and with an opportunity, 2 seed there for Central, which is kind of shocking with, again, the way they started this year. West is clicking on all cylinders, man. The confidence is there. I've seen the maturity in them over the last couple of weeks, coming out in these big football games and not even overlooking some teams in between these big football games. This is a team that knows what's at stake tonight. They're going to come out here and to handle business.
Yeah, Central comes in having won 5 games in a row. They moved Frank Johnson, their star running back, who's still putting up a lot of rushing numbers, moved him to quarterback, kind of probably keep it simple, let him throw 5 or 6 times a game, but he can get it down the field in a hurry. But I don't think it's going to work against this West defense. Too many veterans out there, too many top-level, high-end players. West is likely going to be the 1 seed coming out of that region, so they will not face, if we do get a West-Powell matchup, that's not going to be until the semifinals. It looks like West is going to, they'll have to play the Region 1 teams, the Daniel Boones of the world, in the state quarterfinals. So if we do get that Powell-West matchup that everybody anticipates, it'll be in the semifinals.
Yeah, and 2 really good football teams and 2 teams that kind of match up together. And we'll see whose strength can overcome the others. But that would be an exciting football game in the semifinals.
Yeah, Powell has the 1 seed out of Region 3, 5A. The 2 seed, 3 seed, 4 seed, all up for grabs tonight. Oak Ridge plays a really difficult game against Campbell County. This is a Campbell County offense that passed for 488 yards last week, 7 touchdowns. Oak Ridge's top players are usually back there in the secondary. How do you see this game shaking out? How can Campbell County pull off this win?
Well, I know this is part of our picks, so we'll keep our picks.
Don't give me all your secret.
We'll put the picks for later. But, this Campbell County team does some things offensively that you don't see week in and week out. And that's very difficult. We talk about triple option at times or wing tee or split back veer. Those are offenses that are hard to get prepared for in 1 week's time or 3 or 4 practices. Campbell County has the same thing. They're going to spread you out. They've got a quarterback who's very accurate. They got a couple of receivers that can really make plays. They sprinkle in the run really well. This is a football team who's dangerous. They've scored. They've won in some shootouts this year against some really good football teams. And each week you kind of think, they're going to come back down to earth. And, Jesse, they just keep finding a way to win. They've done a really good job tonight. If they can not turn the ball over, I think they have a really good shot of pulling the upset.
Yeah, and as for rough as of a season as Oak Ridge has had, they still can win that 2 seed. And they haven't won back-to-back games all year. But if they win tonight, they're the 2 seed. They host a first-round playoff game against Ray County, it looks like. Ray County would be the 3 seed. That's a difficult matchup. We can get to that when we cross that bridge. But for Oak Ridge, the goals are still out there, and they can still have a home playoff game. And so that definitely would be a game.
And continue to get healthy.
Yeah.
They just got to get healthy. And they've had their schedule's been brutal, especially with all the injuries. Get healthy. This is a really good football team.
And another game that we'll watch out of Region 3 5A is Karns and Clinton. Now, Clinton is eliminated. There's no possible way that they can make the playoffs, and that's a disappointment for another time and show. But if they can kind of knock off Karns, and Karns can fall all the way to a 4 seed. They were hosting a playoff game last year. Karns can finish as a 2 seed, host a first-round playoff, but they have to win tonight, and Campbell County has to beat Oak Ridge.
Yeah, Clinton can definitely play spoiler. It's kind of one of those things. It's week 10, seniors going out. Last game, there's no playoffs. Hey, let's be the spoiler here. Let's ruin Karns' seeding in the playoffs. This is a really good Clinton football team. This is a game Karns better be ready to go.
And that they can absolutely do that. If you look back at 2021, the year Deshaun Bishop ran for 3,100 yards, you go game by game. There's one team that held him under 200 yards. And that was Clinton. They held him to 101 yards that night. It was week 11. He played the entire night. And they did a number on him. And I think they have better players this year defensively than they had a year ago. But as I wrote on the site, I think Carnes, even though they haven't run him ragged this year like they did last year, they will do whatever they have to do to get this win tonight. And I expect Deshaun to run 40 times or more tonight. That's just my prediction.
Right. And listen, he's an ultimate competitor. You know, he knows that too. You know, he knows what kind of game he had last year against this football team. And another thing that Carnes will do tonight that they've been doing all year that could mess this game up, they are continuing to not be scared on special teams. Onside kicks, fake punts. They are not scared to put it out there on special teams.
Whoever ends up as the 4 seed out of Region 3-5A, whether it's Carnes, Oak Ridge, Campbell County, they will play the 1 seed out of Region 4-5A. That's McMinn County. People are sleeping on this McMinn County team. We've been down to see them in the preseason. We've been down to see them in the regular season. They have athletes. They have kicking game. They can absolutely run the football and play physical football. So that's not just a cakewalk for somebody to come in and knock off a 1 seed.
Well, they're definitely one of those dark horses because, like you said, they're kind of in an area that gets split coverage, that not really anybody's paying attention to them. Haven't been into some huge football games. They're getting a lot of press. This is a team that's a dark horse that you don't want to face, and especially not knowing much about them.
We'll move on to 6A, where things kind of got interesting last night. We talked about the Bearden Farragut matchup. Right now, the 1 seed out of Region 2-6A is either going to be Farragut or Maryville. It looks like Maryville is not going to have the services of Noah Vaughn, the Virginia commitment, who we saw last week get hurt during that kickoff return. Looks like he's got a broken leg, going to be out for the year. They were already kind of handcuffed a little bit offensively. This is a huge blow to their chances.
Yeah, they really struggled throwing the football last week, and part of that was because of West and how dominant they are on the defensive front. But part of it, too, is the offensive line and the quarterback not having a chance to step up in the pocket. I think we talked about 10 passes in a row that he didn't even have an opportunity to step up in one of those passes. This is a situation where they're going to have to find creative ways to run the football, find the ways to stretch out the defense horizontally and get their athletes and some other players the ball in space and force the defense to make open field tackles.
Yeah, it's Maryville, I thought they did well to stay in the game against West. We saw them go just pound the ball with Gage Ledoux in the third quarter, and they ate up 8 or 9 minutes of the drive. And I asked Derek Hunt, the Maryville coach, after the game, I'm like, is this what Maryville is going to be going forward? And he said, probably so. We're going to have to win ugly. That means lead on that offensive line, eat up the clock, try to scratch together 17 to 21 points and hope that your defense can kind of bail you out a little bit at times and keep it low scoring. And we're not used to seeing that out of Maryville. We're used to seeing them 42-0, 49-7 in the first couple rounds, much of the same, 35-7 in the third round, and then you meet Oakland in the semifinals. It's going to be tough for them to even get to the semifinals this year.
Well, if there any saving grace, it is their offensive line, is their strength in the run game, not necessarily pass blocking, but they can absolutely get physical with anybody. Ledoux is a very physical, powerful runner. It's can they get those shot plays? Can they win a one-on-one matchup when people do load the box with 8 and 9 defenders? That's the question for me. And being clean on special teams. They got to change field position. They've got to find ways to make turnovers, and that could get them to the next round. But it's going to be one of those games, Jesse, and in this run, they can't make any mistakes. They can't overcome mistakes they've been able to in the past.
And we've seen them make a lot of mistakes this year, especially on offense. So again, it's just an abnormal year. We're not used to seeing Maryville in this position really since the mid to late 90s that they've had an instance like this. So if Maryville does lose tonight, they'll be the 3 seed. Next week they'll go on the road to face the winner of Dobbins-Bennett Science Hill. And I'm going to tell you, Kevin, this Dobbins-Bennett team might be for real. We might see them in the quarterfinals or semifinals.
Yeah, I think their only blemish is to a really good Greenville team that
had a chance to win that game.
Yeah, that's right. And really got stuffed in the goal line multiple times. Kept them out of the end zone, which we think obviously Greenville's a contender in 4A. Dobbins-Bennett is one of those teams, Jesse, they're going to have to show it to me. They're going to have to prove it in the playoffs. We've seen time and time again where this football team has gone undefeated in the regular season, and then in the second or third round, it's a huge disappointment. Maybe this is the year, but it's a show it to me.
Yeah, it's Science Hill or Dobbins-Bennett. Those are the 1 and 2 seeds, whichever team wins that game tonight. Other teams in that region, Jefferson County has a chance to be a 3 seed. Westridge, Morristown East can even play their way into the postseason. They had a huge win a couple of weeks ago that kind of kept them in the mix. So, again, games that we'll be monitoring all night long. And Bearden Gordon, Maryville, they're fighting. They're probably going to be a 3 or a 4 seed. Bradley Central could be a 4 seed. So much to go over tonight in 6A, and it's going to be a fun night tonight.
Yeah, 6A's got some contenders here, Jesse, across the state. This is a team that Farragut played Beach out of Middle Tennessee. There are some really good football teams across the state. It's like we talked about last week with 5A. I feel like there's more teams this year in both 5A and 6A that have a legitimate shot to win a state championship.
Yep. That's Kevin Smith. I'm Jesse Smithy. We'll take another break here on 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. We come back, we'll take a look around more classifications, 1, 2, and 3A, some Division II talk as well. And again, a huge announcement coming here on the program. You don't want to miss that. Stay with us.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what, add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what, add it up, told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up.
Welcome back into 5 Star Live TV. You never know what happened. Oh, they're trying to take a break and get some water, and that's fine. We're at Gold Star Nutrition up here in North Knoxville, kind of the Halls area up off of Emory Road. I invite you to come check it out. They've been doing it. Jeremy, how long have y'all been doing? 3 years, and it's a great place. All your nutritional supplements. You've been a workout guy and strength and conditioning. This place has everything. You got a cryotherapy chamber that we've used on the show in the past.
That's my favorite part of it. You coming to get cryotherapy, but yes, any supplement you need for your workouts.
Yeah, I mean it's not going to overwhelm you. That's what I like about this. Nutrition supplements, it can be overwhelming. I've gone into other places at times and going, jeez, man, I can't decide. And it's basic and simple and separated, and that's what I love about this place. And I've been here. People come in here religiously, and I definitely appreciate Gold Star Nutrition and their support through the years. And invite you to come up here for all your workout needs and come see them. Fantastic place.
Yeah, or come say hi tonight. Come check us out. They're still open, ready to get you that energy drink for tomorrow's UT Kentucky game, because you're going to be live for all night.
I'm going to be needing some energy drinks to get through tonight. We got a lot. I got papers upon papers of playoff possibilities. Kevin, let's hop down into some other classifications. In 1A and 2A, we don't have a lot of teams that are going to carry the banner. We're looking at Coalfield probably in 1A, but they played a huge matchup against Gordonsville, another 1A contender, and kind of got smacked around a little bit. So it's always Coalfield or Greenback or somebody taking on South Pittsburgh in the state semifinals to try to get there. And Coalfield, though, I think is our team around here to possibly get that done and see South Pittsburgh late in the playoffs.
Yeah, I was going to say, when we talked about doing contenders for the show, I really struggled in 1A to find somebody in East Tennessee that can challenge some of these horses. Like McKenzie's always there, Fayetteville, and then South Pitt. Man, it's going to be tough sledding for our 1A teams here in East Tennessee.
Yeah, looking ahead to 2A, Rockwood has kind of been the area team for us, who's at times played really well. They've had some head-scratching losses at other times, but they run the football. We all know that. They run that wing tee that John Webb has done out there for so long. He's one of the more underrated coaches and undervalued coaches, I think, in East Tennessee. They win consistently out there, but in 2A, and there's some big boys they're going to have to go against.
Oh, yeah. Union City out in West Tennessee is typically always there. Tyner, Hampton has really shown something this year. They're a good football team. Westview has continued to get better out in West Tennessee. I think this is an opportunity for Rockwood, though, that has some players. If they can get healthy, they've had some injuries too. If they stay healthy, that's another offense, that wing T offense that is hard to get prepared for. They can give themselves an opportunity to sneak out some upsets.
Yeah, I really like what they've done with Dryson Turner this year. He was a quarterback when we saw him play against Harriman 2 years ago in the state's oldest rivalry, and they've moved him to kind of an all-purpose athlete and getting him out in space, whether it's taking carries out of the backfield, catching footballs. I mean, he's kind of doing it all. A lot of interceptions this year on defense. Rockwood can finish as a 1 seed tonight. They have to win. Wartburg has to win. They can also finish as a 3 seed. So some quirky scenarios there in 2A. We look ahead to 3A. Of course, everybody's looking at Alcoa. Can they win an 8th consecutive state championship, 21 all-time, and create even more separation between themselves and Maryville in terms of all-time state championships? Right now, they have 20. Maryville has 17. I think everybody's expecting Alcoa to win another one.
Yeah, and they're loaded. I mean, the talent is there. We love Jordan Harris. We talk about him all the time. The offensive line with 2 Power 5 commits. The quarterback is playing really well for Alcoa. They've played in some big games and won those big games. 2 sleepers here, Jesse, in 3A that I think people need to keep an eye on. East Nashville has been there a couple of times.
And that's who they faced last year.
They are very good and talented. They've played a tougher schedule this year to get themselves ready for an Alcoa. And Giles County, a team that's typically around 3A. They have 3 losses, so people are kind of looking down on them. But 2 of those losses are to 5A contenders in Page and Nolensville, and 1 was to Cleveland, a 6A team that we know that beat Maryville this year.
Yeah, I mean, you look at regions 1 through 4, and that's the top half of the bracket in 3A, and you just don't see a lot of teams that are going to challenge Alcoa. I think we'll see Alcoa and Gatlinburg-Pittman play again, and Gatlinburg-Pittman hung with them for a half. They used some of their better athletes out there at wide receiver to make some big plays, but consistently over 4 quarters, it's so hard to beat Alcoa. But you mentioned Giles County there, and in Region 4, there's 6, 7, 8 scenarios that can happen in that region tonight. We'll see what happens with that, but again, all signs are pointing to Alcoa at least making it to the state championship game, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. To me, it's a no-brainer. Again, they have to beat themselves not to get there.
Division 2 is somewhere that I know you know a little bit about. What are we looking for in Division 2 Single A? That's our Kings Academy, Lakeway Christian. We don't have any teams that are probably going to make it to state. What are we looking for there, maybe in contenders?
Well, I think the hard part for Kings Academy is watching their former quarterback and a prep extra sophomore all team here in 5-star preps. Garrett Weekly is the quarterback for Friendship Christian. They're undefeated. They are a favorite in Division 2 Single A, along with the defending state champions in Donaldson Christian Academy. 2 other teams, though, that are going to make some noise is Middle Tennessee Christian has really come on here this year, as well as Nashville Christian. It's really kind of a Middle Tennessee feel there for Division 2 Single A.
Division 2 AA, that's big game tonight. Webb, Chattanooga Christian. We get to bring in Boo Carter into East Tennessee. He's a guy that people who follow recruiting should know extremely well. 4-star, 5-star prospect. How good is this kid?
He is the real deal. Everybody in the country wants him. I think UT feels like they're in good shape with him as an in-state player. But don't sleep on the rest of this team. They are very big and physical on the offensive line, have a very savvy quarterback that can make plays with his arm and his legs, and multiple linebackers and running backs that are in the 6'2", 200 to 215 range that are hard to bring to the ground and are a force on defense.
Yeah, the winner of that game wins the 1 seed tonight out at Webb School of Knoxville, and we've said it on the show. If Webb loses, that's a good thing.
Yeah, you don't ever want to tell your team to lose, but you're on the opposite side of the bracket from Lipscomb Academy, and we obviously know they are ranked nationally, probably the best team in the state of Tennessee, no matter what classification.
Yeah, so if you want the storybook ending with Webb School of Knoxville playing in the state championship game in David Meskey's last year, you kind of secretly don't mind if they lose tonight. But winning a region championship, that comes with its own kind of glory and feel good too. So it's a win-win either way for Webb, but we'll see.
And it's a home game for the East team, the East #1. So it is kind of squirrely there that it could be something that you get somebody on the road. You never know how a team's going to react. That's something to keep in mind as you're trying to win the region championship tonight.
Division 2 AAA, I know Catholic's still in it. You know, they'll play in the playoffs, but it looks like NBA is kind of own the division this year. I know McCallie is they won 3 in a row. They'll have something to say about it. Is it coming down to those 2 teams?
Baylor and McCallie are both right there. Both are supremely talented. NBA has been on a different level this year, and don't count out Brentwood Academy. They have an opportunity to win. They've got the top-rated quarterback in the country in 2025, I believe. This is a good football team. There's 4 teams. It's kind of in the past, we haven't seen as many teams that we think can win that division. It's kind of like these other divisions. I think there's 4 teams who have a legitimate shot to get the gold ball.
Division II state championship games will be Thursday, December 1st, down at UTC, down at the stadium there. Is it Finley Stadium? I can't remember. Down in Chattanooga. 1, 3, and 5A will be on Friday, December 2nd, and then 2, 4, and 6A will be on Saturday, December 3rd. We're going to catch our last break. When we come back, we're going to unleash this huge announcement I've been teasing all night. We're going to get to mine and Kevin's picks on the Waffle House segment, so don't go anywhere. Last segment coming right up.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what, add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what, add it up, told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up.
Final segment on the pregame show, the playoff war room show, as we call it here on 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. We're broadcasting tonight from Gold Star Nutrition in North Knoxville. I invite you to come out and see the guys. It's a veteran-owned, veteran-run place. Just unbelievable supplements and just anything that you need to treat your body, keep it up to date, what it needs to be during your sport of choice. So come by and see them. Not hard to find at all. It's right off of Emory Road.
No, and seriously, tomorrow, I know everybody, it's a 7 p.m. kick for UT Kentucky. You're going to have the energy all day long. They've got every energy drink you can possibly think of. Get out here before the game and pick you up one on your way to tailgate.
All right, I've been teasing this all night. I've been teasing it on social media for a couple of weeks now. We're going to unveil it tonight on 5 Star Live. We are bringing something to this town in mid-December that, Kevin, hasn't been done before. Let's go ahead and roll this video. The 5 Star Preps Hoop Jam, December 16th, December 17th, all day long basketball at the Civic Coliseum in downtown Knoxville. We're talking about the best teams in our area. We're talking about the best teams around the state. A lot of guys that Tennessee has offered or has committed. We're bringing him here to Knoxville, to downtown Knoxville, to celebrate just all that is high school basketball. We got a dunk contest. I know Glenn Jacobs committed to me the other day to come by and be a dunk contest judge. Chris Lofton is a soft yes right now. It kind of depends on what he's got going on. We talked with Jordan Bowden, a lot of former Vols. Got feelers out to Spencer Strider, the major league pitcher for the Braves from Knoxville, trying to see if he will be in town. This is going to be a huge ordeal, something we've been working on for 5-6 months or more. A lot of area coaches invested in this. It's going to be a huge deal. Tickets will go on sale December 1st, the first week of December. You'll be able to buy those on Ticketmaster. All day long passes, weekend passes, courtside passes. We're going to have luxury boxes where you can sit and eat. I mean, it's going to be massive, Kevin.
That is awesome. I mean, it's really cool to see this type of event come here and 5 Star Preps putting this on. I just have one request. I actually want to see Glenn Jacobs in the dunk contest. The man is an athlete. I want to see that big guy get up in the air. I bet he can put it down.
He might be able to. You know, we invited him out a while back to do like the ceremonial tee shot of the 5-Star Preps Masters golf tournament. He had broken his ankle or his foot, so I don't know if the injury is, you know, when you get to that age, they don't heal. You can't jump as high as ever, but he's a massive dude. He's been all in on it from day one since we approached him to be a dunk contest judge. We're actually going to open up the dunk contest to a couple of different guys around the city. A lot of it will be guys that are in the tournament, but we know there's some teams out there that might have that one dude that's just a freak. And we're going to open it up to social media contests. We're going to ask all you guys to send us your best dunk videos or videos of kids that you know, and we'll invite one or two of them to come down and be a part of it. We'll have 3-point contests, and again, basketball all day, Friday, December 16th, all day, Saturday, December 17th, down at the Civic Coliseum. Again, tickets go on sale the first week of December on Ticketmaster. You don't want to miss it, Kevin. I can't wait.
This is awesome. This is big news. It's really cool for Knoxville and 5-Star Prep.
Let's get to our picks tonight on the Waffle House pick segment as I bring them up here on my phone. GP at Pigeon Forge, a rivalry game that will be for a 2 seed in Region 2-3A behind Alcoa. Pigeon Forge, I feel like, has done well to change the course of its season. They're going to run the football. It's, you know, Scott Meadows out there. They're going to run the wing tee and try to execute and eat up the clock. But this GP team has a lot of firepower.
Yeah, and they're going to need to eat the clock up because I have a real feeling that Gatlinburg-Pittman's going to get their players the ball. They've done it all year. Like Gatlinburg-Pittman tonight, 35-20. I don't even think it's going to be close. They know what's on the line, and they're ready to prove it.
I agree. Gatlinburg-Pittman, my pick as well. Chattanooga Christian School at Webb, again, for the region championship in Division II AA East. What do you like in this game?
Well, I think tonight Webb's defense is going to have to play lights out, and they have been doing that this year. No turnovers for Webb to give them a chance to win. I like Chattanooga Christian, though, on the road, 28-24 to win the region championship. I think it's going to be a little closer, but you're going to see a lot of fireworks tonight and really good players on the field.
Good thing for Webb, they returned Shavar Young, their star wide receiver, about a week ago. He got some reps last week, got in the end zone. They should get the running back, Jalen Hill, back tonight for this game. But I'm going to lean on you and some other guys I know in Chattanooga. I'm going to trust you. I've not seen this Chattanooga Christian team play. I have watched Boo Carter on Huddle Films and whatnot. I like them to get the win tonight as well. And again, Webb, if you lose tonight, it's a good thing. You're on the opposite side of the bracket than Lipscomb Academy, and so you have a much better chance of making it to Chattanooga.
I think it actually sets up a semifinal game that's more like the state championship game with Chattanooga Christian and Lipscomb Academy here in Chattanooga.
Oak Ridge at Kimball County. Again, this game has major implications in Region 3-5A. Oak Ridge trying to win and become a 2 seed. I'll go ahead and pick first on this one. Oak Ridge's secondary, I think, is the key to this game. I had Campbell County picked all week long, and last night I just got to, 2 nights ago, I got to thinking about it, and I just like, man, Oak Ridge has only lost to them one time. They probably have a little bit better athletes on the whole in the tail of the tape, but that secondary, I think, is going to make life difficult for Campbell County.
Absolutely. I know exactly where you're going with that. Actually, the strength of Oak Ridge's defense is that secondary that can give them problems. However, Jesse,
okay,
I've been wanting to pick against Campbell County all year and thinking, this game's the one where the athletes can stop this passing attack. Coach Price and this program have done an unbelievable job this year. I like Campbell County in another shootout. They've been in about 5 of them this year, 36-35, 2-point conversion somewhere in there, or a field goal. Oak Ridge's Achilles heel this year has been turning the football over. They're going to do it again tonight, and Campbell County is going to capitalize on those turnovers.
All right, that's definitely an important game up in Region 3-5A. Let's move into 6A, where Maryville goes on the road to play Bradley Central. I'm going to play percentages here. It's been since 2000 that Maryville has lost 4 games in a year. What I saw them do in the third quarter against West, leaning on that offensive line, running Gage Ledoux, they win tonight. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be 17-14, something like that. But I like Maryville to get the win.
I do too, and I actually like them a little bit. I like them 28-20. I think they're going to break some of those runs too. I think, again, Maryville's strength in the offensive line is the running game. I don't think Bradley Central has enough horses up front to stop that running game.
Fulton at Carter, a huge Region 2-4A game as Carter tries to find its way up into a 2 seed. Again, have not beaten Fulton since 2001. I like them to do that tonight. Carter has been a hard team to predict at times. Fulton, of course, I know they have unbelievable athletes with Marcellus Jackson, Davion Chenault's closing in on 1,000-yard receiving season, but Carter's got a little mojo in his corner. It's got the home field advantage, and I've seen some squirrely things happen out there in Strawberry Plains at times.
And I get it. I hear you. I'm not picking against Mr. Jackson, though.
Okay.
I'm not picking against this Fulton football team who's been up and down at times, but when I've seen them against like opponents, they've done better overall this season. I can't pick against Mr. Jackson. I like this in a huge shootout, 49-42. Vibes of the Fulton-Gibbs game that was in the 60s. Fulton gets it done tonight, man. They secure the 2 seed.
Yeah, I agree with you. I wrote on the site that if we don't get at least, at a minimum, 10 touchdowns in this game, I'll be highly disappointed. Last game of the night, Clinton versus Carnes. We talked about this, about how Clinton did a really good job stopping Deshaun Bishop a year ago. Clinton not able to make the playoffs. They're going to try to make a spoiler out of this and hurt Carnes' chances in the seeding. Again, I think Carnes is going to lean on Deshaun Bishop, whether it's 40, 50 carries tonight. They're going to win this football with him. I like Carnes to get the win.
I do. I agree. And I think Clinton does have the players to slow him down, but not tonight. Carnes is going to pull out all the stops on special teams. Defense is going to do just enough to win another shootout in a game where Carnes wins 38-28. The ultimate competitor in Deshaun Bishop. He knows what happened. He knows the only team that stopped him last year. He's going to have a little extra chip on his shoulder that he already has. He's going to bring it out tonight, and he's going to pull him out to victory.
That's Kevin Smith. I'm Jesse Smithy. We're going to be here at Gold Star Nutrition, our playoff War Room show, all night long. We're going to come back at halftime, update you on some of these critical games around the area, start to look at the brackets even more, and then we'll have another show tonight, the post-game show, where we'll unveil all the brackets for all 9 classifications in East Tennessee, give you those local pairings to look for in the first round of the playoffs next week. So thank you guys so much for joining us on the 5 Star Live pregame show. We'll see you in about, hour and a half or so? All right, stick with us tonight right here on social media. We'll see you in a bit.
You're watching 5 Star Live, presented by East Tennessee Spine and Sport. Tennessee's #1 high school football show. Live on location from the biggest game of the week. Live interviews from coaches and players, along with highlights, predictions, and up-to-date information about this week's biggest games. Your hosts, Jesse Smithy and Kevin Smith, with decades of experience covering and coaching high school sports, along with a 5-star preps team, will break down region outlooks and what's to come for your favorite prep football teams and top players. Now, get ready for the most comprehensive high school football coverage in Tennessee on 5 Star Live.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.